Alright, hey guys, how's it going? It's time for your daily dose of vitamin C. That was stupid, and ignore that. I'm sorry if you had to hear that. I mean, I'm not really sorry, but let's get into it. So last time I left off, make sure my camera's not locked. Last time I left off with fixing up the crease there. I think there was another crease I was fixing up. Probably that one and that one. This one actually still looks kind of broken. In fact, it is actually. I can see some non-manifold faces along there, but I think if we go back into the camera, it's not going to be particularly noticeable. And in fact, if we just go into our out and actually do a quick IPR, so open up the IPR and give this a second to get going. InPlay wants to load. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I don't think that those artifacts are really going to show up. Also, here's to hoping that the stream doesn't crash again. Although, to be completely honest, I really wouldn't be surprised if it did. Because A, that's just my luck, and B, I'm using the video card as my encoding device, and also bombing it with those good old ray tracing calculations. Yeah, it's we are definitely gonna have to work on the textures. It's just not really looking the way that I want to, but that's better. Don't see the artifacts along there, and wish it would render that bucket. I'm gonna assume that it's good enough, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit exit real quick. So we can kill that. And then I actually want to start turning a few things off. I should have sort of debugged my textures and materials and made sure that they look correct in the context of an overall light before dealing with anything else. So I'm going to turn off everything but the floor for now. And also going to go and disable, oops, oh, I want that one, that's the one. I don't want these ones. Do not want them turned on right now, because I do not need to see them. We're going to work with just the light dome. That's where most of my light is coming from anyways, so get real up close on here. Let's just get a look at this for a second. I better actually use a camera for this, you know. Probably something like that. Alright, so go back into out this one, and we're going to open an IPR. Let's give that a second to cook. Looks like InPlay is back up and running. Yeah, it's all sorts of wavy and not really how it should be. It also looks like maybe it's not quite tessellated enough. I have a number of spikes there. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And we're going to go back into the material. That is the cave floor. So we do have displacement on it. I might just turn that down a twinge a little bit. I think it was probably affecting it just a little bit too much. We're going to go back into the cave floor node and just into here. Okay, so probably should smooth the UVs. And again, I might just turn this down a smidgen. I don't expect that to be a big noticeable difference. So what I end up seeing might just be totally placebo. But if we give that a hot second, I'm still getting kind of those bumpies. So I'm going to have to go and just look at what this texture's up to. That probably means I have loads of hot spots. If you really zoom in, it's really just distorting it. And although this part may be invisible underwater, that's still not really the look that I want. So with that, we're going to close that, and we're actually going to... Okay, cool. I was really worried I didn't have the substances loaded. Or saved in a different location rather. So we're gonna pop open this bad boy. Substance Designer is a procedurally based texture generator that is just a fancy way of saying it follows a certain set of instructions and then generates an image output. So we're gonna let this load up. Yeah, it's not really turning out like this though, huh? So I might have overstretched the UVs. It's really what it's looking like. I might need to do a little bit of repeating because this is a seamless texture. But it's also very noisy, like especially up close. So there's some things that I want to take care of here. Might come in here and just turn down the intensity a smidgen on that. Just gonna do some things to get rid of the noise. Things be a little bit less wonky. So those are kind of our small rocks blended together with a tile generator. It's kind of getting the base there. So where my issue is probably in a Slopeberg Grace. Oh, you know what? Yes, that is exactly what it is. I don't think that I want to use cells for that. In fact, I'm just going to straight up blow that up. I should have somewhere. Okay, so probably not in this tree. So we're going to have to open a substance. Question is, am I going to be able to find it? Yes, cool. Environment Toolkit is this wonderful asset that you can get through Substance Share. I personally think is pretty invaluable. Actually, which one of these do I want is the question. Probably not that. Probably not shapes. Actually, I don't think that I mind shapes very much. Lol. I think that we are actually displaying. Okay, we might go with these cracks and do this a couple times. So I'm going to come back into here, into my main ground substance, and back wherever that empty input is. Should be here in the base shape. Yeah. Okay, this is why. See, because I did 2 slope blur grayscales in a row. Oh, this can get some pretty cool results. It's also super easy to get noisy. So I am just going to take this crack substance, put it in there. Don't really have a need for a mask. I'm going to tweak this first before I actually apply it to this. So get a little bit more disorder in there. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing at all for this. I simply think that this is going to give the best look that I want and kind of maybe take away from sort of that just generally grainy look that's kind of making me angry. Ooh, okay, yeah, don't really care for that, but I do care for me. Okay, cool. There's not really much to tweak there. That works for me. Let's look at those. I think that these are reversed. I mean, this definitely is a thicker and more angular crack than thicker angular crack is. So we're going to leave this, and we are just going to plop that bad boy in there. Intensity is fairly low, but I might just turn it up a little bit. Kind of see the results of that. Guess as we do it again over here, definitely going to need to smooth this out. So we actually end up adding in more cracks over here, but like actual solid cracks. I'm going to turn that down. I'm going to turn it in a lot because I don't remember what that shifted doing. Okay, that's freaking it out. I had it that way because I don't want all those little black bits to really show up when I come back and blend it. Still pretty noisy. Got it. turn that just down. Maybe even delete it. I'll definitely turn it down. What was original? Yeah, I think I think I'm largely okay with this. I'm getting in some more scratchy patterns. So we're just trying to cut out some of this noise that ultimately gets blended back into it. Yeah, it's sort of like a grungy kind of pattern. Those are my bass normals, and those are probably super also super noisy. Let's come and look at what we're actually... Okay. This looks like it's going to be the source of my anger. Because there's literally just a lot of noise here in the ground-ish kind of texture, and I don't really care for that, so we're going to kind of try and fix that up a little bit. I've got so much of this purlin noise, sort of this dirt. I think I might try and replace some of these with grunge maps. So hit space and just start typing, oops, groon, yes. I don't know, this one kind of looks interesting. Yeah, I think we'll go with this one. This one looks pretty interesting to me. And we're actually going to put you in there. Definitely going to want to... It's background over foreground. Okay, I see. We're using the foreground to lighten the background, but the background's already pretty light. We should flip these then. So we can, I believe, yeah, hit control and move that there and just plug this in the top. And put you. Kind of come back in here and maybe turn down the opacity. A little bit more rockiness to it in there. You can, it kind of shows up in some of those areas. Although maybe I probably won't end up sticking with this lighten. That always gives a super harsh look. But I think I'm okay with it. As we move here into this blend, switch this up just a smidgen. And rather than have that be min darken, let's just... Not that. Maybe screen it. But I also might need to switch these again. Okay, I don't... Makes me mad. I don't want to blend that noise back in. Because I get all this weird sort of look to it. So I kind of like those crackly patterns showing up. This may not be the most rock-like material though, and there's still loads of noise. Kind of looks a little too smooth for my tastes. What does Dirt 4 look like? I generally think that I prefer the look of that. Let's blend those two together and see what sort of a result we get. Yeah, so it's kind of spreading out. If anything, it's actually maybe even a little bit noisier than before. That's kind of funny because that's the thing I'm trying to get rid of. It's not that. Let's use the blur high quality grayscale. Oof, put you in. And max quality, but really like turn down the intensity. There we go. And let's just kind of get a feel for what that looks like. No. No, I don't think so. I don't think that will cut it, actually. definitely not gonna do. Ultimately, I'll probably just end up sticking with something like this. Of that. Okay, one thing that I need to do is come here into my materials, definitions, and then actually change that to tessellate. I'm silly. Tessellation, that's what I wanted, and then it's gonna turn the tessellation factor up high, and also turn up my scale to like 2 so we can kind of see how it's getting displaced. I'm actually very much okay with the way that it's doing that. I might even accentuate that more just to see it. Yeah, we can now see where at edges I'm getting stuff like that, and that is definitely meaning that my tessellation is just a little bit too strong, or not my tessellation, my scale for this is probably a little bit too strong in the render engine, so this is probably okay. Although even up close you can still sort of see where it's popping out, but from far away, further away I should say, it's not the worst in the world. I actually even ultimately end up adjusting it with this histogram range anyways. So that's going to kind of make it more uniform and shallow, because I'm really removing the contrast. Honestly, around 0.5 is really where I'm going to want it to be for position. I can try clamping the range, but ultimately I'm still just losing contrast. So I don't think that the histogram range is really what I want. Most likely the histogram shift is what's actually going to set me straight. Ooh. I know that's going to like freak the height out. It's just going to break. Surprisingly, it hasn't. It's kind of, well, I mean, it has. It's just hard to see. So, yeah, I don't think that this is the node that I'm looking for either. Definitely not. Probably use histogram scan or histogram selects. Although I'll tell you right now that this is also going to give kind of an ugly result because I've just got all these hotspots everywhere that's saying, yeah, max height, which is not really what I want. So we're going to bump up the contrast, but also turn up the range. Maybe bring down the position. Or bring it up depending. Well, yeah, something like that. But I still have those sorts of hotspots, which they kind of make me nervous. Usually that's kind of, it seems like that's a super high value, and that could cause the render engine to not necessarily freak out, like it's going to accept it just fine, but I just don't think it's going to give good results to have really bright hotspots like that. It seems like you'll sort of get this micro displacement that just really freaks the mesh out. I guess you never know until you try, but I mean, I guess we'll try here shortly, and we'll just bump up the contrast a twinge, or all the way, not really. Yeah, something like that, just to get changes in pits. I think normals might be too much. I know that I can change the normal scale down in the software, but I mean, realistically, the textures just shouldn't be overpowering to begin with, you know, so that probably needed to happen anyways. I notice we have another set of normals over here. I think I'll turn those down to 1.5 as well. Let's turn that back. Let's just do 3. Yeah, that's a definitely redeem yourself. So let's maybe 1.75. And come look at the micro surface of these rocks. Yeah, I don't know. I like the micro surface. I might even want to get some height data from that as well. But for now, it's fine. Get those out of the way. God, I had all these curvature maps. Ugh, why? See, that's probably not helping my case out. honestly. Seems like it doesn't quite have enough samples. Although it's max, so it might be too much height depth. I think that overall the holes are probably a little too small for you to notice that big of a difference, but that versus that, yeah, might have been one of the major factors into why it looks so dang noisy. That's better. It's promising. So maybe I don't need to come in and really freak around in here. Although I think my color's good enough. Not really so concerned about that. So with that being said now, let's save. Ooh, excuse me. And let us actually export these textures. So before my software complains, I'm actually just going to quit. I do want to save changes before I quit, but I'm just going to save some space and go ahead and delete the textures off the disk, at least the ground textures. And I'm just going to go back into the render node and load everything up from there. Yeah. So we're going to right click, export outputs as bitmaps. Everything is actually exactly how I want it, so we're going to save. I don't like to delete files if I know that a program is using them, mostly because it actually won't let you. Windows usually will complain that a file is in use if you try to delete it. Maybe in Houdini's case, it wouldn't have freaked out because it wasn't rendering, so it wasn't trying to read that texture from disk, but you know, why chance a software crash? Okay. I might still take this into Photoshop and just try and massage it out a little bit. It just seems super noisy. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. So let's left click or right click. I'm a dingus. And open with. And Illustrator CC. Yeah, let's use a vector imaging program to edit photos. Why? Why are you doing this to me, Adobe? I guess I honestly could have just done this in... Actually, I still have it open. Why don't I just do it there? I don't have to regenerate everything. Yeah. Pretend that I said I was going to open it and pretend I didn't say that I was going to open it in Photoshop and edit it. I never said that. What is Photoshop? No, I forget that I do have some utilities that I can do these things in Substance. I guess if I were going to like work on an image that wasn't a component of a texture, I'd probably would pull it in Photoshop, but seeing as I can do a high quality blur, I don't really see the need to... Oh, excuse me. I don't particularly see the need to do that in Photoshop. So max quality and just turn down the intensity really a lot. I'm thinking like start there at 0.01. 0.1. Kind of see start to get blurry. 0.2. Maybe 0.5. Maybe. I mean, I guess I wasn't paying attention to the effect it was having on my output image. Looks like it's pretty subtle. Yeah, overall it just makes it a tad bit blurry, which I'm not against in this case. I mean, to be honest, I think I'd rather it be a little bit blurry. You're not going to really get to see this up close in the final render because it's going to hopefully be buried underwater, which I'm hoping to be able to get to because that's the thing that's actually going to make me the most angry. I don't really have much experience with flip tools in Houdini or flip fluids in general. I guess it's not terribly difficult to grasp the concept. I mean, tons of papers are written online about it, but I'm also not a scientist trying to discover the physics of water. I'm just trying to get it to look good, so that's a whole nother story. Okay, so I better re-export everything, so I'm actually just gonna hit none and then just do ambient occlusion. Oops. Just do ambient occlusion. I don't need to re-export everything else. I also like to have the excuse me. I also like to have the automatically export when image changes option off. I mean, even at this stage where I'm still making edits far and few in between, every single time I do an edit, like trying to find out this intensity value, it would make a new one, and that would just annoy the crap out of me because it would eat my CPU up. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this, but it looks like it did save it. So yeah, that's moderately better, I would say. So, oops, I actually think I want to go back in there. Come into this folder, don't mind the name, and let's load Houdini back up. Oh, this is that fun part where we just kind of watch it load and, you know, sit and talk about nothing. For those of you who are in, I literally just noticed, because I'm a terrible streamer and I'm not paying attention to chat. How's it going, guys? My boy. I see you just got back from work. I am sorry to hear that you were working for so long. I know exactly what you're going to say. Oh, it's nothing. It's no big deal. And that's fair. It's probably not a big deal. All right. So we are going to hopefully not actually have to go and reload these textures. So there's floor, just to be safe. Everything's packaged in the hip file. It's time stamped at 722, so I shouldn't need to reload it. Let's go ahead and get, wrong camera. Let's go ahead and get back into here and kind of look at it from a little bit further back. Get a little bit more of a broad overview of how this is going to turn out. It's also funny, it's got a volume to it. I needed to generate collision bounds, and so I was like, alright, we'll just extrude it and never see the sides because those aren't unwrapped. Alright, enough of that nonsense. Going out. IPR. I would like to make a workflow point because I'm sure someone is low-key shivering in their sleep that I've got like 3 ROPs for kind of no reason. I haven't found a way to quickly switch between IPR cameras, and I do feel like having 2 of them actually makes a bit of a difference. So if you're curious as to why I have one ROP that is called IPR correct, that's because I like to be able to move the IPR camera around but have my main camera be stationary, which I kind of just happened upon that angle and decided, hey, that's the angle that I want. Alright, alright. I don't know. Oh. I think I exported those in I don't think I exported those in 4K. I don't think that I did. Yeah, I did not. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna stop this right in its tracks and save it. And whoops. I was gonna go to the Windows start menu like as a save, like Windows file save Windows. Not even Microsoft can save Windows, am I right? Oh, you guys could be doing 1,000 better things than you're listening to me make terrible work and make terrible jokes. Alright, so let's double click out of here and go ahead and set this to 3 and 3, and that is going to take a minute. And in fact, if you want to even see the system do those computations, I love how the friggin' RAM and performance like just spike up. Substance eats a lot of my memory, like a lot of it, like 6-7 gigs of it, all dedicated to these 8 gigs of it. Oh, are we gonna hit 9? Are we gonna hit 9? Yeah, of course we're gonna hit 9. I wouldn't be surprised if we were under, 10, which it looked like it's where it is, but that's irrelevant. While we're just waiting for that to load. Yeah, that's got a little more depth to it. Kind of got a weird crackling formation, but I think I'm okay with that. If anything, it might look like growth or something on the walls, which actually really, really works for me. So I would like to go ahead and turn my environment on and get a render of that real quick, just to kind of see what the texture I'm dealing with looks like. So save this first, of course, because it's probably going to crash. I'm going to choose iRay. Yeah. I don't think that it's particularly terrible, but it's probably not particularly great. It might be a little bit too smooth, although I don't know what's up with that color. Maybe that's just the way it's being reflected off or something. Like, definitely no color to it. Oh, I might not actually be rendering the thing. Okay, well, let's go into my materials and just... Got it. Okay, thanks, NVIDIA. What is attached? Yeah. Why are you not... Let's reset that. Hopefully it will actually go and attach the colors. Or nothing, that's cool too. Well, that's fine. I just wanted to... Oh, really? That's kind of awesome. Go ahead and reload all shaders. Alright, cool. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and export these before I lose my sanity. Export all of my outputs in their full 1080p glory. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring Substance back over here just so I can keep track of what it's doing. I'm going to hit Save All and then just relaunch my Task Manager and watch it write to disk. As my files slowly appear one by one. That was actually pretty fast. I've noticed usually the normals and the diffuse texture take the longest time to load up. But that also largely depends on the resolution and just exactly what you are computing. If you've got a lot of noises and just stuff going on, it's going to take the computer a while to do that. Let us refresh this. Get both monitors here. It's no big deal. Compton 2018. This is true. Bruce Lee, I do appreciate you saying hello. Hello. I'm sorry I did not say that earlier. Okay. What I'm really trying to do is actually look at these textures. So I would rather not start a render job while I know that it's still exporting them. I mean, worst case scenario, there's just a file conflict and nothing happens, but that would be boring. Okay, cool. So it's going. It's chugging along. If we right click into our properties panel, and yeah, we've got 4K squares all around. Give the height a second to load up. And the ambient occlusion is going as well. These are some fat textures. This is 86 megabytes, 29. This is going to be like 48 kilobytes. Yeah, oh, I forgot to change that to be a 1 pixel by 1 pixel square. Oh well, that's tiny anyway, so it's not a big deal. So we're going to come back and just go ahead and launch the IPR again. That should actually pull in the new textures. I mean, it'll be immediately apparent if it doesn't, which, considering the time it's taking to build, I'm almost certain that it did indeed load them and is swapping them over to the GPU as we speak. You know, I will say, back when I was working with RenderMan last year, I was always annoyed whenever I'd go through this process of tweaking textures because I'd have to use their TextMake tool to convert everything into their proprietary .text format, which I guess is just more efficient. I don't even know really what made it better, but supposedly it was, and that's all the render engine wanted to took if you use the Pixar texture node. So on the bright side, at least I'm not having to fiddle with command line tools and batch files to get that to be automated. Redshift is just reading it, and I mean, yeah, it's a fair bit smoother. Might actually be half decent now. So it's really just the walls that we're gonna have to work on, which I'm gonna have to go digging through my some of my Substance library and see what I've got to base it off of, because I just don't particularly care for the current base that it has. I think that texture is just all wrong, honestly. But that's enough of that. So yeah, it's a good bit smoother. Well, there we go. I think that's all right. I feel like the lighting's really going to hide up some of the splotchiness of the texture. I'm going to wait and see and let it come to that. Maybe not the best practice, but I think that's good enough. So let me just... Actually, I should have turned my IPR back on and just gotten an alternate angle. My viewport here is probably going to start, yeah, really start lagging. Ooh, whole system is lagging. Oh my goodness, I just want to get a different angle. Should be good. Come here, let Redshift do its red shifting magic, I suppose. I am, actually. So I made these textures a while ago. I really wasn't pleased with how they turned out. Especially the walls, and I'll actually get to those in a second, because I think that these ground textures are decent. I think they're well enough. A lot of the things that I'm concerned about, like the noise in the texture and some of the like clipped displacement that's like making it way bumpier than it should be. I think the water's going to hide that, and so will the dim light. I don't have that luxury on the walls because they're getting the direct light. You know, the water's going to diffuse and scatter it about and just in general occlude the ground. So we're going to stop that there. Let that do its thing. Let's come back into my object and let's go look at the walls. That's wrong wall. So I faked this scene pretty well, I think. I didn't design this to be something that I'd like bring into Unreal Engine or let anybody see. like behind the camera. But I didn't want it to be wide open. I also didn't want to model a wall, so I basically just put in what is effectively a giant diffuser in the background. But that's the wrong wall. It's going to take a hot second to load up that geometry as it goes and does all the little operations that I've been doing. Fixing up vertices and all that. You know, that's kind of the one thing that I feel like sucks having history, honestly, is going and cooking it all. Like the way that Houdini treats it. Like in Maya, you can just delete history and be done with it. I guess I could like freeze a null node way at the beginning of the chain and go from there, but I don't really feel like doing that. So all sorts of just plain ugly. But let's go ahead and check out what it looks like now without many distractions. So pop open IPR, and it's going to cook, build the scene, do its thing. Wait, this actually doesn't look as terrible as I was expecting it to, but still pretty, well, I don't know. I like that. I actually really like that area. It's too smooth though. You know, that's cave walls really shouldn't naturally be that smooth. So I think I might duplicate this substance, and for the walls, just add in a little bit. And you know what? Actually, I don't even think that I need to do that. I'm going to try something here first. So let's go back into the material for the walls. I lied. I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go into the substance. What I was thinking I could do, I was thinking I could come into here and just, oops, wrong software, like add in a noise and just kind of use that to fiddle with something like the diffuse, or no, not the diffuse, but something like the height. The height, that would work because it's black and white, but I'd also want some normals for that. So I'm just going to do that in texture. So we're going to delete, save. I do still have substance open, but I'm going to exit. Ooh, I actually didn't want to save that. Sigh. I don't even think that this is the same base. No, it absolutely is. Okay, let's relaunch. That was a bit of a waste. I cannot lie, I do love to waste time, I suppose. Makes me less stressed about the work that I'm supposed to accomplish somehow. Alright. Not responding. Me IRL. Just so I don't lose my sanity. Yeah, why are you not applying anything correctly? Okay, it was just having to go through and build them. Yeah, a little bit of it certainly does stretch. That's one thing for sure, but we can take care of that. So I'm going to start with coming back to the environment toolkit node that I used earlier, these cracks. I think I'm going to go with the thinner ones, which ironically it says is the thicker ones. I can go and fix that in the file, but to be honest, I just don't care enough to do that. And I think I'm going to just sort of apply some more disorder. Love to see less of the effects in context. This actually isn't working the way that I want. I need to do a different kind of blend with these. So rather than do that and blur them along the slope, which I will still do, I'm actually going to go ahead and keep that, but turn that intensity down to like 0.5. I'm actually going to take another blend node and it's taking its sweet time to calculate. Blend and let you be the background. Nope. Alright, yeah, we'll just placeholder there for now. Come back in here and this is how I'm going to want to edit it. Let's some more chipping in there and just break up the uniformity of it all. I'm a little bit angry that I can only rotate it in like 90-degree increments. So we're going to leave it at 0, but what we are going to do is foreground. Go ahead and take a look at this blend. Oh, let's come into here and turn this back to just the 1024 by 1024. I totally forgot how compute intensive this stuff gets. I mean, I didn't forget, I just wasn't paying any attention to go and change it. But that's the benefit of this workflow, is now I can actually get faster preview results. So I don't actually want these to be the exact same crack, so let's do like a directional warp and go ahead and take U as my input, and I wonder if I have a node that I can recycle. Probably this. I mean, this noise looks like it would be fun to warp that one up. So let's see, what do you look like? Kind of make the cracks a little more downward facing and just really just bang them up. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a slight blur on that. Blur high quality grayscale, just to clean things up. Set that to like 1. Good enough. And what I'm gonna do is, I think I might do a subtract, actually. So might end up being foreground minus background, which may not be what I want. I probably want background. Probably want this to be the background if that's how the subtracting goes. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Although, I suppose if I'm going to do that, I would want to tone down this probably by a lot. And I'm just going to add levels. Not right there. That's my goof. Going to add a levels right there. And to get this to look how I want, we're pretty much just going to do this. I'm not too concerned on the contrast, but that's going to like dictate sort of the size of the cracks that I'm dealing with. And honestly, if that's the case, we could probably switch that and just do something like this. Are you doing this? Interesting result. So to get a spidery pattern, that's probably not what I want, actually. There's probably a better way to blend those two together. Right now, it won't be either of those. Not multiply unless I turn down the opacity. If I was going to do that, I would have to switch these. I wasn't actually super planning to make like textures and materials today. I really wanted to spend a lot more time on like the water sim and just doing the render, but I mean, part of what makes a scene look pretty is the materials in it, so kind of necessary. I might actually end up turning this back to 1 just to get more variance in there, just to break things up. Or how my base normals are generated. So I'll probably end up doing another normal combine, actually. Well, I don't think that I should be dealing with using too many grungers. They look a little too stock, if you will. If you kind of overuse them, I mean, they'll be exactly that. They'll be overused. Excuse me. Well, I might take back what I just said and actually see what this looks like. Interesting. X. Probably just like turn up the balance. Turn down the contrast. And then move. Come on. Space. Do a normal. Actually, just make it really low. Do another normal combine. It's not the detail oriented. I'm not concerned with optimizing my textures for game engines to make them run fast. I am concerned with what will give me the best visual results. And I feel like with normal combines, this might be a scenario where I probably should turn it to high quality because there probably is a difference. That kind of changes it up a little bit. And you know what I think I should have done for the ground is probably make it a little bit more mossy. I might do that after stream or something. I might do that after stream. I truthfully don't particularly feel like toying with the colors, but we'll come here in the gradient editor and oh goodness me, I'm just going to select a couple of these and just kind of, well, if it let me, there we go. Have it be more of that blue tint, if anything else. We'll just drag that along here. Pull you. It's definitely not what I want. Kind of got a weird whitewashed look to it. What is that doing to my texture? Yeah, I'm gonna have to come and I'm definitely gonna need to keep tweaking it. So let's just push these back a little bit. Don't really need quite too many colors. There we go. I'm actually kind of okay with that. Definitely okay with that. Might do something about you. I don't like that kind of. Actually, that might not have been the problem. It might actually be this that's like the problem. Go ahead and make it a little green. Pump up the saturation. It's too much. And we're just going to kind of tweak these. Again, there's not a rhyme or reason. This is just trying to get a result that I think will best fit what I'm looking for. Which is probably going to be something like this. This is interesting. Okay, what had given me those sorts of splotches? Because I do need to look at where those are coming from and absolutely desaturate them. Oh, I see. It's coming from here because we've changed the hue pretty drastically. But we're also gonna... Saturation just feels like it's super touchy. Like I go down just the smallest little smidge and the next thing I know it's like, look, it's all the way freaking black. Honestly, I really should be tweaking this at the final saturation node. Probably. Ooh, come back. That maybe. We're so close. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, now let's come over to you because I've just done something weird. It's making it more blue. It's making it more greenish. Ugh, see, it looks like vomit. Looks like I went and puked on a cube. Yeah, it really probably should actually be kept pretty neutral. Switch you to like 0.49. I don't know. This could be interesting. I need to go where it's like that grayish and make it not gray. Make it something more akin to like that. Although less, looks a little bit too much like candy. Just turn saturation and get a little bit more like that. Most of that color, though, is coming from here, which in turn is getting from these two. So that's kind of tinting everything more of a greenish color. I think I want to go maybe something like that. Well, I still need to. You know what though? Let's not do that. Let's put my material in here and go and tweak the colors of these because I have a lot of these sort of, you know, super bright kind of colors when maybe they should be kind of something a little bit off that. Probably not. That's all wrong. That is just... I'm gonna undo this. It's really just you that's making me angry. Concentration, just a smidge. Coolio. Thanks, Guppy. Appreciate it. Alright. It still looks like someone puked on a cube and tried to turn it in as homework. I got this weird thing going on with the blues, and it's just never gonna happen. Which, those are sort of like lighting effects, so... delete you, and bring you like there, and then kind of pull you over and pull you all the way back, but we're going to turn down the value. The heck out of the saturation. Something kind of red. We need to get a reference is what we're gonna do. And that's what Google's for. Boy, wouldn't it suck if there was something really weird that I had bookmarked, like Kennesaw State University? That would be weird. What the heck is that all about? Goodness, I cannot spell. Cave wall. All sorts of, mostly like kind of those dark browns and blues. Although that's all more of a function of lighting. If I make it too dark, it won't show up, but maybe a color pattern, something similar to that might work. I kind of like that. Let's try that. So we're gonna snap that window right there, grab that, and let's just try picking the gradient and see what happens. That's a moderately interesting result. Perhaps maybe not what I'm looking for. We'll go with it. We'll do it for giggles. Okay. But let's pick another gradient of something like that. Of the two that are blended. Okay, it's set to lighten. And that will never happen. A darker area cannot lighten a lighter area. So we're just going to cross the streams here. I'm actually really concerned. I don't really think that I need these. I'm going to delete them. In my mind, this is plenty light, and if it's not, then I'll light it myself later. Much more of a wall-like looking material, I suppose. Although I might try inverting the gradients. Invert. Invert positions. Yeah. Might be a little bit better. Seems like there's a little bit more going on at the surface. So it shouldn't be quite as smooth and boring. So yeah, let's go ahead and save. Really? Can I not save as? Heck. Why is that where it is? Software kills me sometimes, man. I don't understand. Alright, experiments. Loads of failed experiments. It lives in textures. That's funny. I really could have just duplicated the graph, but oh well. A lot more macro surface detail going on that comes out in a little bit different of a way. So we're going to go ahead and export outputs as bitmaps. What time is it? 8:04. It's fine. This is, we're making good enough time. I believe wall is maybe walls. I don't remember. What is the name? Okay, yeah, it is wall. And check all. I probably should have done the same blurring on the ambient occlusion. I also just realized. Okay, I'm glad that I didn't do that yet, because I do want to put that same blur on the ambient occlusion. Blur, high quality grayscale. It might have been something like 0.5. I don't remember. Max quality, something like 0.5. And then gonna go ahead and save this. Put that to 3. That to 3. Let it load up and do its thing. I do want to go ahead and, oh goodness, display the environment. I have all these environment maps. There we go. It's a bit better color representation. Alright, and it's going through and baking everything. I am very happy that my stream is not affected by my underwhelming CPU. It's a good thing. Alright. Yeah, kind of like that. So we can shift drag this around. Let's just get a beauty shot here. Alright, iRay, don't fail me now because it's low-key trying to show off. And we'll set my render to iRay and see what it actually spits up. Pretty glossy rock. Probably a little bit too... Ugh, that's actually really, really bright. Where's my roughness at? Oh yeah, it's all the way back here. This is a specular glossy workflow, and I have a metallic roughness shader on. So we're going to have to do a few things about that. Materials, definitions, do the spec glossy. So add in a and that's why it was freaking out. Histogram range, so I can also turn down the range here. What the hell? That's why. Set my range 20. Let's clip it from there. I think that's probably gonna work. I hope it's gonna work. I don't really have any warm colors in the scene besides what's being spilled in from the light. Yeah. Yeah, this should work. So we'll save it. And go back to OpenGL. It'll take a second to switch. Alright. Guppy, this software is called Substance Designer. Created by Algorithmic or Algorithmic, I don't know, I think they say Algorithmic in their videos. This is to procedurally create textures, which works really well for many kinds of like brick and rock and inorganic materials that are incredibly common and repeating in nature, like cement or rock. You could start like a flower texture in this program, but you would want to go and finish it up by hand so that it looks more organic and unique. You probably couldn't texture someone's skin in this unless you were some sort of like amazing god, because that just sounds like it would be so hard to do, and you'd still have to go in and paint other details. But it's nice for things like cave walls. Alright, export outputs bitmap. Let's try this again. Alright, alright. Save. Alright. This is funny that my bitrate output is low. I'm not rendering any. Oh, you know what? That's because I might have been rendering at some point. Interesting. Oh well. So, just kind of waiting on it to load. We're getting there. Oh, goodness me. Alright, looks like we are good to go on the wall. So let's go ahead and save and quit this program just so I can free up some more memory because I am terribly, terribly, terribly low. Let's come back here to you are absolutely killing me because I am definitely streaming enough data. Okay. Would like to just save this and let that do its thing. It's going to start building the scene. Let's sort of check out how this looks now. That looks like it's too shiny. Okay. Note to self, the glossiness workflow doesn't work exactly the same as it does in Redshift. That's fine, actually. So, I think in the interest of, I really should fix the texture actually. I was going to say, in the instance of saving time, I could just do that edit through a node in my rendering software. But seeing as it's really the texture that's wrong, and I know that right now, excuse me, I would very much like to save or fix that texture. Boy, it is only Tuesday and I already feel defeated. Oh. Okay. It's going to take a minute to build everything as it always does. This is the thing that I'm looking at. I think I probably didn't need this node. I might actually just take that position and move it up. Something like that. This should be pretty rough. Maybe a little bit moist. Maybe something like that. Alright, now we're going to come back into here and export outputs bitmaps and none, and then we only care about our glossy. My specular is black, which is absolutely not specular at all, or at least I believe that's what it is. Maybe it's not, maybe that's why I'm getting these issues. Oh boy, don't think that I exported that in the right place. Shoot, okay, I did, we're safe. Okay, let's come back and try that again. I mean, something different should happen anyways. So, IPR. Oops, wrong software. And we're build. Okay. I have to take a look at the shader. I don't know why I'm driving the specularity with just a black texture. It would probably make more sense to just not even have to bother with loading a texture. But then again, we can't all be smart, can we? Yeah, seriously? What the hell? Oh, that. We can actually just come into this material 0 and on the reflectivity, just like really turn that down and let it be uniform. And probably turn the weight down even more to like 0.1 and let it be pretty rough. Okay, I didn't mean to get a 0.75 exactly, but I'm okay with that. Maybe add in a twinge of anisotrophy, anisotrophy, Anis's trophy. I don't know. I don't know how to English. Back into objects. I don't actually need to be an object. Go back to out and open IPR. And it's going to complain because I don't have a license. And my encoding rate just falls flat on the floor whenever I launch Redshift. I'm not surprised. Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys. There we go. That's kind of more like it. Although these textures still seem pretty damn stretched. Yeah, they're absolutely stretched. I need to take a look at the UVs. So this is where I want to go into out. Boop, do. Come to my cave walls. Oh god. Let's go into the UV view. UV viewport. Yeah, that's why. I'm just way overstretching them. Maybe even only set the 2. I see. Okay, I wasn't editing the right thing. Scale on these should only be 1. That's not where the scale is sort of coming from, but I see where there's some issues there. I don't know, setting this to 1 doesn't really make much of a difference on that distortion, which I'm not a big fan of. Does that happen? Interesting. Oh, set the scale to something like 0.75. And I'm actually just going to certain everything because it's making me angry. Ah, give me a tooltip. Okay, well, select it all. That would be cool. Oh, god damn it. Seriously? What am I doing with my life? Let's move it. Y-axis. Really now? Really? Hell. Could you maybe not go back to points? Shouldn't have to select any of these, but I guess I'm gonna have to. Really? Set this to 0 and come in here and UV move, although I'm still not gonna let me. I don't know why I would ever need a second UV edit right underneath. But none of my edits are working. That's actually a little bit frustrating. Jeez. Delete channel. 0. Group 4. Asterisk. Excuse me? Why? Why are you gonna behave now? Oh, I see. It's interesting. Well. Oh. Sort of a little bit more control over what it's actually doing. Okay. Breaking everything is what it's doing. It's good enough the way that it was. I mean, it wasn't, but I had the soft radius on with nothing selected, so of course it's not gonna actually move at all. Oh jeez. Took me a while to figure out that one. I love my own mistakes, man. Alright, alright. That's probably a little bit better. Although I didn't need to go back into the object view. Alright, let's go back to where we were. Set this through my cam. Just set the lighting. We are going to go ahead and save. Come back into my out node and just take a look. If we open in IPR and pop open mplay, can take a look at what's going on. That actually might have made it worse. And there's a big old seam there too. Isn't that kind of ugly? Yeah. I think I still need to shrink the size down a little bit. So we're going to do that. Go back here into the OBJ cave walls. And come back here into my viewport. 9.9 looks like that should. That's all. Maybe let's just do something drastic just for the sake of it. Lol. And just kind of see how that turns out. That's probably actually going to look just as, well, to be quite frank, just as terrible. Okay. Oops. I always go to friggin' wrong software. Yeah, of course, because it has to sample less pixels over the same amount of surface area. Oh goodness. You can tell that it's been a while since I've actually started paying attention to what I've been doing. If I want it to be smaller, I have to come in here and have more texture wrapping so I can bring more pixels over the same amount of area. I think this will be what we want. I mean, I hope it will be. Marginally. If we go from 7 to 10. Yeah, that's actually a fair bit better. Alright, let's close that just because it's starting to make me angry. Let's look into my perspective. Restore cam 1. Just fix the... Come on. There we go. Let's also go ahead into my OBJ and just bring back the floor. And on here, yeah, let's then click IPR. Also, the reason that I haven't been clicking this up here when I was trying to like look at the wall through that camera, you can only have one IPR node. So whenever I click this one IPR, it always will look through this camera that I'm looking at now, which isn't always what I want. I mean, sometimes it is, and in this case it is, but it's not always what I want. So we are just gonna we'll chill out a quick minute and let this render. Oh my god. That's pretty sure I'm looking through the wrong camera. I hate telling lies.